Hi everyone, welcome back to Le Gourmet TV. Today we're here with Mirella at the Victory Cafe in Toronto, and we're going to talk about beer a little bit. So what's up first?
Well, what we're going to talk about more specifically today, Glenn, is matching beer with food.
Okay.
Although it's not a new concept, I find that a lot of people don't think about matching beer with food unless they're thinking of pub grub. And I heard an interesting theory recently that has to do with the fact that a lot of the fine dining that we do is Italian and French food, and those are two foods that are more commonly associated with wine.
With wine, yeah.
Having said that, there are definitely beers that can match both Italian food and French food, and there are many cuisines that fare better with beer than they do with wine. And I certainly have noticed in the past little while, chefs both locally and internationally are exploring beer a lot more, both in food matching and in how they're cooking beer. And more recently, I read that Stephen Beaumont has declared this year the year of beer and food.
Interesting.
And he's someone who's definitely been exploring that combination for over 10 years now. And I think he feels like this is very relevant now. And so I thought it would be great to do a segment on that.
Well, I've been watching the chef notice boards, and a lot of chefs asking questions about pairing beer with the food that they're making. And they're trying to explore that more right from the kitchen out.
Yeah.
To put it all together, so.
And the bottom line is that there are no hard and fast rules, because the truth of the matter is you can say that a certain beer goes well with chicken, but that depends on how you prepare the chicken, right? Because there are many different sauces that you can use, so on and so forth. And so what we're going to be doing today is just developing some tools based on the different ingredients in beer, which we'll be talking about later, broken down a little bit more.
Okay.
And based on these different ingredients, how you can find tips to better match your beer with your food. And of course, beyond that, it's a matter of personal preference, so it's really fun to just experiment. But I find that the more you know about how to create a good match, the more you can then spice your food accordingly, for example. So I just wanted to start today with the basics. We have two beers in front of us. This is the Fuller's London Porter, and this is a Köstritzer Schwarzbier. So this is a German beer. This is an English beer. This is ale, and this is a lager.
Okay.
And the reason I pulled these two beers out is that I've read in many places, many different experts say that as a general rule, if you want to match beer with food, you need to use lager where you would use a white wine, and an ale where you would use a red wine.
Okay.
And that's fine as a general rule. You look like you had a question.
Well, that's interesting, because now I'm hearing from wine people that those rules don't really follow anymore.
Exactly.
So, you know, I guess as a general rule that would kind of work, but really you do have to find the right match.
Of course, of course. But just as a general rule, comparing white wines to lagers and red wines to beer, and it's more complicated than that, and that's something we're going to revisit and something I'm going to touch on actually a little bit today. Okay. But that raises a very important question, which is, what is the difference between an ale and a lager? And
I'm one of those people that don't know. I know it has something to do with the yeast and how the yeast ferments, but beyond that, I really don't have the full story. Exactly.
Well, certainly there are a lot of people who don't know or who have misconceptions, and then I found a whole cross-section of people who know that an ale is top fermented and a lager is bottom fermented. What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of flavor?
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Okay.